Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Russian Plus. In this video we're going to visit a part of Azerbaijan that most people probably never heard of. But it's pretty unique, it has a lot of history, it was part of Caucasian Albania, Georgia and the Silk Road. So get ready to see some breathtaking places, try some delicious food and meet some incredible people. Let's begin. We start off from Baku, the capital city. We're going to cover a distance of about 300 kilometers. Interestingly, when you leave in Baku, the scenery almost feels like the desert. But after about an hour of driving, it starts to change. First you notice some green hills, then some trees, and then a lot of trees. Once you leave Baku, finding coffee becomes a challenge. Remember, Azerbaijan is a tea country. This is one of the few coffee places that I found along the road. But what a cool place it is. A statue of Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steve Jobs in the middle of Azerbaijan was the last thing that I was expecting. Oh yeah, the coffee was good too. Along the roads you'll find people selling fresh berries and fruit. Fantastic. And 4 hours later, we're finally in Sheki. The city has a population of 68,000 people. What's the importance of Sheki? Sheki used to be the capital of the Sheki Khanate that was one of the most powerful Caucasian Khanates established in Afsharid, Iran between 1743 and 1819. So let's visit the summer palace of the Sheki Khans first. And this is the most famous building of Sheki. It's called Sheki Khan's Palace, and it was built in 1763, and it belonged to Sheki Khans, the ruling family of that time. The building has 6 rooms and 2 balconies, and on the inside it's absolutely beautiful, and you'll see a lot of examples of shebeke, that is a special way of preparing steel glass. Every room of this palace has been thoughtfully decorated. See the stained glass? This special local variety of stained glass is known as shebeke. It's made through the process of tracery. Puzzle pieces made from wood and colored glass are slotted together into a frame. They don't use any glue or nails in the process. The interior of the palace is impressive, but unfortunately, they don't let you film inside. This Three Saints Church is also part of the Summer Palace complex. It's believed to be a former Russian Orthodox church or a Caucasian Albanian church. This just tells you how intertwined our human history is. There's also the Winter Palace of Sheki Khans. The most famous Sheki Khans palace is the Summer Palace, the one that I showed you before. But this one's the Winter Palace of Sheki Khans. And this is the one that gets overlooked by tourists a lot. Incredibly, the second royal residence was only rediscovered by historians quite recently. How could such a magnificent building be forgotten for so long? Well, the Sheki Khans had to flee to Iran and Turkey when the Russian army marched into town. And the building was abandoned and fell into ruin, and then it was almost completely forgotten. There are several great hotels to stay in Sheki, the most famous of which is Caravanserai Hotel. Even if you're staying elsewhere, it's worth dropping in just to see the building up close from the courtyard. Caravanserai is probably one of the most unique hotels in this area because it's been around since the 18th century, and a lot of the traders back then were staying in it while they were on their way through the Silk Road.
Здравствуйте, как вас зовут?
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Равана. Равана Гусейнова. Я здесь работаю. Летний ресторан.
Так.
Вот здесь, там бывает живая музыка, а здесь все сидит и отдыхает. У нас такой садик, очень красивый, большие территория.
Да.
И очень красивый, так, воздуха как. Да.
Хорошо дышится.
Да, хорошо дышится.
Вот здесь люди сидят, а там играет музыка, да?
Да, там играет музыка. 1 мая вы будете все открыто. Чайный дом тоже есть.
Хорошо.
На первом этаже, да.
This is what a standard room looks like. The price is around $50 a night. I was staying at a different hotel, Gala Hotel. And by the way, Gala in Azerbaijani means a castle. It was inexpensive and I enjoyed breakfasts with its gorgeous view. I made friends with a local guy, Eljun. He's such a cool guy. We met randomly on the street and hit it off right away.
Эльджун, расскажи, чем ты занимаешься в городе Шики?
Mən Şəkidə futbolla məşğulam. Mənim futbol komandam var. Qadınlardan və oğlanlardan ibarət. Mən həmçinin Şəkidə və bir çox kəndlərində qadın futbolunun inkişafı ilə bağlı işlər görürəm.
He's a football coach at a local school, but he's not just a football coach. The guy has a mission. He's been trying to get more schoolgirls to play football because in this rural area, most people don't see girls as being athletes, but rather housewives, teachers, and doctors. So he's trying to change that mentality. Besides that, Eljun is doing a lot of good things to help his community. He's decorating rocks and sells them on different marketplaces to help kids from the poor families. He collects those small rocks and he decorates them, and then he sells them, and the money goes to help poor children.
Gun, you gotta expand your business. You gotta work with bigger rocks, you know?
He told me that right now they desperately need a bus for the girls' team. So if anybody's willing to help, let me know. Turel was another great guy. He's an entrepreneur and runs a PlayStation club, among other things. I'll tell you what, no matter how old you get, playing games never gets boring.
Turel is showing some hospitality.
These guys became my good friends and showed me the level of hospitality that I haven't seen since my time in the south of the US.
I can't lose this one.
They were taking me all over the area for a few days. And to make things funny, Eljun did not speak English or Russian, so we used Google Translate. Let's continue with the town of Sheki. If you want to do some souvenir shopping, there are lots of little shops in the main street. You can find a range of antiques and cute knickknacks.
Традиционная вышивка Шеки у нас называется текелдус. Вот у нас в 18 веке вышивали мужчины 200-300 человек. Стопроцентный вот у нас карабахская шерсть. Моем, потом вот валяем. И после получается такое чарах называется у нас. Ну, в древнейших веках у нас одевали так, потом вот здесь галош одевали.
Ручная работа.
Так.
Да. Это все девочки вот так. Бута, символ Азербайджана. Все большие, маленькие, разные бывают бута, да.
Сколько один шарфик стоит?
Есть 40 манат, а большой вот такие есть 60 манат, 70 манат, 80 манат, разные.
Sheki's famous for its cuisine. What's for lunch? I'm hungry. Come down, Slava. How about Sheki's signature dish, PT? A chunky aromatic stew made from meat, chicken or veal, with chickpeas and mixed vegetables. Let me show you how to eat it. And now we're going to be trying the local signature dish that is called PT. And we'll show you how it's eaten. And it's eaten in two stages. First, you tear apart some bread and you pour some broth on top of it. Then you sprinkle a little bit of sumak. Sumak on top of it. And then the second stage is you smash and eat the rest. It started as a workers' man meal because it's so substantial. You get a first course and the second course, all in one meal. Sheki's famous dessert is halva, also known as pahlava. It's a sticky, syrup-drenched nut slice. Yummy, yummy.
Dum-dum халвас. С разными орехами?
Let's visit the local market.
Салам.
Откуда приехали?
Екатеринбург.
Екатеринбург.
Да.
Добро пожаловать.
Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
This is what we used in PT. Sumak.
Of course, Sheki is not just the old town. It's a city of 68,000 people. And there's the modern part too. You know, everyday things, barbershops and restaurants and cafes and the police station, of course. So let's explore some part of that. We visited the drama theater and talked to the director.
Мирбала Салимли, главный режиссер Шекинского государственного драматического театра. Нашему театру уже 143 года. В 1879 году впервые в Шеки сыграли «Приключения скряги» знаменитого нашего классика Мирзафетали Ахунзаде. Ну, город, вы видите, очень зеленый. В мае вообще, в Шеки, в мае это красота просто. И природа, и солнце, и фрукты.
Now let's explore the surrounding towns. We took a trip to Kish. It's a village just 5 kilometers north of Sheki and has a population of 6,000 people. It's famous for its Caucasian Albanian church that was constructed in the 12th century and was used variously as an apostolic and orthodox place of worship. Although it's not active today, the interior dome and crypt are well kept. Eljun took me for a short hike to a fortress called Galarsan Görarsan, which means come and see.
Bu qala gələrsən görərsən qalasıdır. Bu qala həmişə Şəki xalqını bütün təhlükələrdən qoruyub. Hər zaman kimsə hücum edəndə Şəkillər bu qalaya sığınıblar.
Before this area was annexed by Russia in 1805, Sheki, known as Nuha at the time, was the capital of an independent Hanate. For its defense, the local Han Çelebi had 2 forts built. One of them was sitting on this hill, and he was defending fiercely against the advancing Persians in the 18th century. According to legend, when the powerful Nadir Shah from Persia wanted to know who dared to oppose him, the local Han Çelebi replied, "Come and see," which gave the fortress its name. The fortress was never conquered, of course. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a cool story.
Over there in the distance is the village of Kish.
Next town we're going to visit is Qakh. This is where it's located. It's a small town of 14,000 people. The main attraction is Sherry Bazaar, or Inner Market. We are in the city of Qakh, and this part of town is called the Sherry Bazaar. It was built in the first half of the 18th century, and then it was renovated by the Russians in the 19th century. Quite a picturesque place, great for taking pictures. And we continue our tour.
Как дела? Yaxşı.
There's a beautiful Georgian Orthodox church called St. George's Church, built in 1855. Which shouldn't surprise you. It's just 25 kilometers to the border with Georgia from here. There's also a defense tower called Sumuk Gala. It was built in the 18th century, and like I mentioned, Gala in Azerbaijani means a castle. Inside, you'll find a museum with weapons and house utensils like a samovar from the 18th and 19th centuries, and pictures of the famous local warriors like Imam Shamil, who was a leader of Caucasian resistance to Imperial Russia in the 1800s. Eventually he got caught by the Russian army, but the Russian Tsar Alexander II spared him because he had developed a great respect for Shamil and placed him in a 10-year exile near Moscow and later in Kiev. And eventually, in 1869, he was given permission to make the Hajj pilgrimage, after which he went to visit the city of Medina, and this is where Imam Shamil died in 1871. This area is just dotted with interesting places. Along the road, we saw a 17th century Juma mosque. This is a Friday mosque located in the Elisu village. The town of Qakh is now becoming a popular resort place. Why? Because this is a very picturesque mountainous area. Let's take a look from above. Make sure you do some hiking. Eljun took me to Pari-gala, which means a fairy castle. It's one of those lesser-known archaeological treasures. A limestone brick structure built 300 meters up the side of a cliff. Took a lot of effort to get there, but it was all worth it.
Biz indi Zagatalanın yuxarı Çardaqlar kəndində Pari-galasına gəlmişik. Pari-galasının dəqiq tarixi məlum deyil, ancaq onu 3-cü, 5-ci əsrə aid edirlər tarixçilərimiz buradan tapılan qalıqlara görə. Pari-galasına bənzər bir qala mən Azərbaycanda başqa bir bənzər qala görməmişəm. Bura çıldırım qayaların üzərindədir. Yolu da çox çətindir. Yəni bir yol var bura gəlmək üçün.
This area is very fertile and famous for walnut and chestnut production. Like I said earlier, in this part of Azerbaijan, you're going to meet a lot of Christian churches because at different times it used to be part of Caucasian Albania and Georgia. This is the Kurumuhi Church of St. George. Almost feels like Georgia, right? Right, because it is a Georgian Orthodox church believed to be constructed in the 12th century, when the Kingdom of Georgia experienced a political, economic, and cultural golden age. And the last town that we're going to visit is Zagatala. It's another small town nearby with a population of 31,000 people. The city's most prominent feature is a ruined fortress built in the 1830s by occupying Russian forces during the Caucasian War.
This ruined fortress is the most recognized site of the city. It was built in the 1830s, and it was used by the Russians to fight against the local rebels. This town was the site of the battle between the Russian forces and the Dagestani leader Sheikh Shamil, or Imam Shamil.
Yes, with the same Imam Shamil that we talked about earlier. Because this area was a place of constant battles, there are many defense towers hidden here and there. We found a 16th century watchtower, Qakh, but today it's located on private property because it's a family tower and they've had it for centuries. So we had to ask the owners permission if we could see it, and they were nice enough to let us film it.
От кого защищались?
От всех.
Всех.
От всех.
От всех.
Защищались, вообще-то битва была с Надыршахом. В те времена русские вообще сюда не боялись из-за Надыршаха, особенно сюда. Вообще-то это очень интересная история.
Let's visit Bazaar in Zagatala and talk to locals.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Как вас зовут?
Меня зовут Джамиля.
Расскажите, чем Загатала город известен?
Город Закатала известен фундуками, грецкими орехами. Здесь их много растут. Каштанами.
Очень хорошо.
Ну и много красивая природа есть.
Это точно.
Да.
А в плане работы, кем работают люди в основном?
Люди в основном, коммерческие.
Угу, торговля.
Торговля.
Торговля.
Да.
И туризм еще развит, да?
Туризм развит, да.
А вам что больше всего нравится в городе?
Природа.
Природа, это точно.
Очень красивая природа есть.
Спасибо.
Вам тоже спасибо.
Спасибо.
Now let me show you some breathtaking places in this area. Mamirli Waterfall is located in the Lakit village between Qakh and Zagatala.
Okay, the whole gang's here, and we're going to a waterfall to freshen up.
The name of the waterfall means green moss. It's easy to see why.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Azerbaycan'a hoş geldiniz.
There are many natural springs and waterfalls, and they say the water is good for drinking. So let's taste it. Very good.
Not far from it is a monastery complex known as 7 Churches.
In this part of Azerbaijan, there are a lot of Christian Albanian churches, Caucasian Albanian churches. Like this complex belongs to the 6th and 7th century. So really, really old, and these are the ruins that remained. So let's go and explore.
Best review.
Salam, adım Fəriddir. 16 yaşım var, bələdçi işləyirəm. Burada 7 Alban kilsəsidir. Ərazidə 7 dənə kilsə var. 6-7-ci əsrin kilsələridir. Əvvəllər burada Albanlar yaşayıb, onlardan qalan tikililərdir.
This complex is called the Seven Churches, so there's plenty of these remains in the area, and you can go and explore and just get a lot of inspiration, and it's just beautiful, you know, especially, and the weather is perfect, you know.
After that, we visited Jalut Monastery. It's a 5th century Christian monastery. Wow.
We're going to great lengths to get here. We had to ask for directions like 10 times, going through village to village. We're in the mountains. He's definitely taken me to some places off the beaten path. That's for sure.
These places are so unexplored, I was actually the first one to add photos on Google Maps. And I'm not kidding you. Someone had to do it, right?
We found it. It's a 5th century monastery, a Christian monastery, because you can see a cross. Automatic entrance door, and we're walking in. Wow.
Along the roads, you can buy freshly baked bread. Let's see how they do it. They cook it in a tandoor.
Bir dənəsi nə qədər vaxtda pişir?
Pişir daha hamısı pişir.
Yox, nə qədər vaxtda pişir normalda bir dənəsi?
Herhalde. 200 dəqiqə.
5 minut.
5 minut?
Ha, qaqa. Var.
О, готово. Все. Сколько одна стоит?
1 manat.
1 manat.
Bütün niye həll eləyir?
Ой.
İstəmir.
Да.
Onu boğa bilmişdik.
Да. Хлеб?
Да. Возьмите.
Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Здравствуйте.
Müsahibə verə bilmirik.
Yox, просто.
Как дела у вас?
Нормально.
Живьё. А еще живёт.
Работы места нет.
Работы мало?
Мало.
Başka vatandaş üstündesin dünyanın üstünde.
А кем люди работают?
Я шофер.
Шофер?
Ничего не
Такси?
работает.
Не работает.
А сейчас не работаете? Раньше таксистом были, да?
Трава
Давно.
What is life like in this area? Life is slow. Most people work in agriculture and cattle farming. Everywhere you'll see lots of sheep, horses, cows, and even bisons. Let's visit a typical village house.
Коровы. Привет.
Kumbet Alifov, Rusya.
Хумбет Алифов.
59.
59. А какая у вас профессия? Чем вы занимаетесь?
Это корова занимается.
Ага. Всегда? Всю жизнь?
Всегда.
А, всю жизнь. То есть свое хозяйство всегда.
Все.
А.
Корова, барана занимается.
Ага. Все хозяйство. Хорошо. А вы в России были? В России?
Россия, солдаты были давно.
А, когда солдатом были? Служили в России?
Российский.
А.
Прибалтика.
Прибалтика. Все понял. Да.
Прибалтика.
Советский солдат.
Советский
солдат, понятно.
82 год я был. Россия. И Прибалтийский область.
Угу. Красивый дом.
Ah, pear tree.
Спасибо, что дом показали. Ладно, пойду тогда, что поснимаю. Спасибо. Спасибо.
These men are called Aksakals, which literally means white beards. They're the wise men from the village, and they should always be treated with respect.
Salam.
Günahsız de, günahsız.
Family and friends come first, and you can always find time to have some tea with friends in a beautiful place in the mountains. So relaxing.
Где мы сейчас?
Mustafa Bey'in bağı.
There are a lot of places that only locals know, like this place is called Mustafa Bey'in Bahe. Bahe means garden, and it's a perfect place to come here, enjoy some nature, drink tea, and get plenty of oxygen.
So,
Oh, there you are. It's so peaceful and quiet in here. And we're just 3 minutes away from the center of Sheki.
Come on, buddy. Everybody's eating. Everybody's having lunch. Everybody's having lunch. You're the one sleeping. You're gonna miss it. Football match?
Yeah.
Who's winning?
There's a whole soccer field filled with sheep. We're not sure who's playing for which team, but we're sure it's a tough match.
All right, I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry again. Let's visit some local restaurant and see what's on the menu.
You would always find on the table some pickled stuff. So these are cucumbers, of course. This is cabbage. This is dogwood berries, very unusual. These are pickled plums, and these are some kind of a cherry. We'll call it in Russian alicha. And it's a good idea to get some salad because Azerbaijani cuisine has a lot of meat.
Dolma iyi dolma.
Havluya mı düştü?
Hı?
Çölden.
You're not gonna leave hungry, that's what I'll tell you. So let's dig in. There are many trout farms in the area.
We have come to a trout farm, and we're gonna have some trout now. Bread is a very important part of Azerbaijani cuisine. They always give you lots and lots of bread. Sometimes they cannot even finish that. Another thing is tea. They drink tea all the time.
Ooh.
Спасибо. You can spice it up with what's called nar sharab, which is something made out of pomegranate. And this is turşu. Let me taste that.
Rural Azerbaijan is incredible. People are friendly and it's very safe.
Qardaş, nə dəxli var? Yerli olsun, oğruqdur, oğraşlıqdır, qoyun da çək.
Yox,
Salam.
sən çox adam.
Salam.
Bizdən olmaz elə gəliz adamla.
Ha, yox, xərclənə, boş deyil. Bayaqda biri çəkib gəlir. Biz də olarım çəkim dedim elə, çək. Çək. Görüm nə olacaq.
Məşhur.
Ha.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll put the links to all the places that we covered in this video in the description so that you can visit them too if you decide to come here. Alright, stay tuned and I'll see you in my next video.